So, Green Lantern, you're a Gotham vigilante with a big cape, white eyes, and pointed boots, and you can strike fear into your enemies. Whoa, Batman, I didn't copy you. I mean, look at me. I got this yellow circle around my logo. You don't have that. I didn't copy that from you. Are you sure about that last one, Alan? Hello everyone, I am back from my hiatus, and welcome back to another action figure review. This time, I'm going to be reviewing the McFarlane DC Multiverse First Appearance Batman from the comic Detective Comics number 27. Although, speaking of that comic, the cover of Detective Comics number 27 is actually printed on the back of the box, which is pretty neat. Although, the belt and glove color are different from the actual figure. This is due to the gloves and the belt on the figure being based on the version from the interior of the comic, while the head is based on the head from the comic itself, along with everything else. Will this inaccuracy be annoying to some people? Yes. Do I care and overall think it makes the figure look worse to me? Not really. Let's quickly take a look at the figure itself before getting on to articulation, though. The body is overall very smooth, being a nice muscular build, although the legs are a bit long, which is a problem with most McFarlane figures. The legs and boots and lower torso, along with the shoulders, upper arms, and the rotator cuff right here, are all from the Batman Hush figures. Although most of those elements, minus the boots, are also shared with the Three Jokers Batman figures. The new parts of the figures include the hands and the forearms without spikes, the trunk pieces with a new belt. The trunk pieces minus the belt actually are a bit different from the Three Jokers one, which might be shared with Hush, but I don't own any of the Hush figures since I don't like them. The torso is a modified version of the Three Jokers and Hush body molds, not only to be flat so there's no sculpted logo, but also with a cut for a cloth cape. And this cape isn't just cloth, it's a wired one, so it can maintain a pose. There are two characters that should get wired capes most of the time, being Todd McFarlane's Spawn due to all the crazy poses the cape has in the comics, and Batman so that he can use it to glide, and also once again the crazy poses. Moving back to the new sculpted pieces, it's a new head sculpt, which is very nice. The ears stick a bit out to the side, just like the cover, and it's overall just a good Batman head. Now let's finally get to articulation. The head is a different system for most figures, even for most McFarlane figures. Instead of moving at right here, where the head starts, it moves where the neck is. So he can look up, although there's a bit of a gap there, so that's uncomfortable looking. He can look up this far, and he can look down this far, but there's a bit of his neck sticking out, which also doesn't look great. He can, of course, spin around, and since it's on a ball joint, it can tilt. Fairly good amount, although once again, sticks out to the side. Now for the torso, he can bend forward this far. Not great. But he can bend back a fair amount, and both the lower torso and the upper torso can spin around. Now, he's got fairly standard arms and rotator cuffs, which allow him to lift his arms very high above 90 degrees, and spin around, and the rotator cuff allows it to move back and forth. He's got a bicep swivel, which allows the arm to spin all the way around, and double jointed elbows, which allow him, which been pretty deep. He's got McFarlane wrist balls on his purple gloves, which allow them to hinge in different directions, and you can spin both the hand and the wrist ball itself to get them both in different directions. Now, moving on to the legs, he's got standard McFarlane articulation, where it's a ratchety leg. They can kick forward about this far, a little under 90 degrees, and they can do a split. Another thing to mention is that they have a little bit of tilt. It varies from figure to figure, how much the legs can twist around a little. Double jointed knees that allow them to bend like so. And, similar to the hands, there's a little ball in the feet which allows it to pivot, go back, forward, and spin around at both the base of the foot and on the ball itself. And his toes can bend like most McFarlane figures. Now, the cape also adds a lot of posing opportunity due to it being able to hold a pose like so. Along with some alternate hands he comes with, which we'll get to in a minute, you can pull off some great poses like this, and get him into gliding poses, which is pretty cool, honestly. Can't really do this with most other McFarlane Batmans without actually just buying a wired cape from. As for accessories, there's the fists he comes preloaded with, along with these sort of grippy, angry-looking hands, along with a pair of terrible-looking open flat hands. It looks like they got hit with a hammer. They're not good. I don't even know where the other one went. Oh yeah, and another accessory. This blue wrench. Pretty sure he uses this in, like, one of the panels in the comic. Although, unfortunately, this is the closest you can get to getting him to hold it, since he doesn't come with actual, accessory holding hands, so that's a bit unfortunate. He does hold it well, it just doesn't look great. He also comes with a trading card and a figure stand, but I don't feel like tearing the inside of this box right now, so, here's just a regular DC Multiverse stand. There's a peg in the bottom of the feet, they plug into here. There's a little DC logo that's kind of hard to get on camera, but it's there. Now for some figure comparisons. For two 6-inch ones, here he is with the Renew Your Vows, Spider-Man, and Spinneret. This Batman is a 7-inch figure, and a big one for 7-inch too, so he doesn't really fit in with these two. Well, unless you want to make Batman have, gigantism. For another 6-inch comparison, here he is with the DC Universe Classic Superman and Wonder Woman. I don't think Batman should be taller than Superman, to say the least. Here he is with two Supermen from DC Multiverse, the Hush Superman on the left, and the Superman vs. Atomic Skull 2-pack, aka the Action Comics 1000 mold, on the right. Unfortunately, he's a bit taller than both of them, although sometimes I've been able to fudge the Rebirth one to be around the same size, which is the body mold on the left. For some other heroes, here he is with the Last Night on Earth Wonder Woman on the left, and the Endless Winter Aquaman on the right. Believe me, I'll track down that classic Wonder Woman eventually, but it ain't gonna be easy. For a couple more heroes, here he is with the DC Essentials Flash on the left, which is the standard body mold for that entire line, and the Endless Winter John Stewart Green Lantern on the right. Although, for the real Flash and Green Lantern this guy should be paired with, here he is with the Jay Garrick Flash and Alan Scott Green Lantern on the left and right respectively. Now this is starting to look like a classic 1940s Justice Society. And for good measure, here they are with a custom Fleischer Superman I made from the Rebirth and Action Comics 1000 Superman on the far left. This is shaping up to be a great team, and I'm excited to see which members of the society Todd will be making next. For some other Batman comparisons, and here he is with the Nightfall Batman on the left and the Bat Family 5-pack Batman on the right, who shares a lot of parts with this Batman. Interesting how as you go on, the grays on these Batmen get slowly darker. Oh yeah, one thing I need to mention. Nightfall Batman isn't undersized. These two are just massive. But for some black and gray ones, here we have the Rebirth Batman on the left and the White Knight Batman on the right. Man, he's short. But also, some elements of his costume do remind me of the first appearance one. Having no gauntlets, but gloves, a pretty big cape, although White Knight Batman's is more of a Dracula cape, and the really big belt. Batman himself leads us to the Bat Family. On the left, we have a DC Collectibles New 52 Greg Capullo Nightwing, although repainted with blue instead of red, and the Bat Family 5-pack Nightwing with Jason Todd's head on the right. Overall, Batman is taller than both of them, so it scales pretty well, although the 5-pack Nightwing, despite being better articulated, seems a bit too thin in the limbs compared to the torso to me. Even though Tim Drake was not even slightly thought up near the time of Batman's creation, here he is with two versions of Red Robin. On the left, we have the modern version from Mattel's DC Multiverse line near the end of their time, and on the right, the New 52 Red Robin by McFarlane. I'm a big fan of the head sculpt on that one. Although, the Mattel one is an alright stand-in for a good 90s one, since the McFarlane one is not only a giant, but also just ugly. Even though he was even less thought of than Tim was at the time of Batman's creation, here he is with Damian Wayne. Overall, he's a lot shorter, so yeah, it works. Although, it still seems a little tall for him being just a 10-year-old kid. For a version of Batgirl, here he is with a slightly repainted Bat Family 5-pack version. She suffers from a similar problem to him, although more so for her, which is short torso-itis. It's a real bad disease among McFarlane figures. But for the most important member of the Bat Family, here he is with the Mattel DC Multiverse Alfred. But, since we've already gone through his family, let's get to some of his foes. Here he is with the McFarlane Classic Riddler. I'm just saying, these two look fantastic together. They even both wear purple gloves. Ain't that neat? For some of his larger foes, here he is with the Megafig Man-Bat, who takes up a hell of a lot of space. The Arkham Asylum Killer Croc. And the Rebirth Clayface. With how heavy this figure is, if you threw it at someone, you'd probably give them a concussion. And for two other large, but not as large as the others, rogues of Batman, villains, here he is with the DC Direct Nightfall Bane and the McFarlane Build-A-Figure Solomon Grundy from Arkham City. Overall, they're fine. I prefer my Banes to be a bit larger than Batman, but oh well. For two malicious, monochrome, and malevolent villains, here he is with the DC Multiverse Arkham City Penguin on the left, and the Mattel Arkham City Two-Face on the right. Penguin's a pretty good size, Two-Face is a bit short. Now for the foe you've probably been waiting most for, the Joker. On the left, we have the McFarlane DC Rebirth Joker, who scales pretty well and could definitely work. And on the right, we have the White Knight Joker, which doesn't really work stylistically or in terms of height. But for the one that I think works the best, here he is with the Three Jokers, the Criminal Joker. Due to him being based off the first appearance Joker, I think he works the best with first appearance Batman. Their bright, simple outfits clashing with the serious looks on their face just really fits the early versions of the character. So, this guy definitely works the best. Although, for a comparison even more important than that, here he is with the Marvel Legends Hitmonkey and Goliath. Overall, with the wired cape and 4 decent hands along with the wrench, for McFarlane you'd expect them to put this in their $30 collector line, right? Wrong. I found this for $20 at a Target. In that case, this Batman, despite his proportional and sizing issues, is, in my opinion, a nearly must-have pickup in terms of Batman collecting. Overall, I'm gonna give first appearance Batman a 9 out of 10. See you next time.